Script. There we go. Okay. Try this again. Welcome to the Bowtie Edge Real Estate Unraveled, where we strip away the legal jargon and get real about real estate, helping homeowners, investors, brokers, agents, lenders, and including my fellow attorneys to talk about what you actually need to know. I'm your host, Mahmoud Faisal Khatib, the Bowtie Attorney, and I'm here with Carolina Klinowski, a real
Welcome.
estate broker, managing broker. And today we're going to bring you unfiltered insights from professionals on the front lines of real estate. This isn't theory, it's strategy. Carolina, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for
So,
inviting me.
yes, of course. So, tell me a little bit about kind of like who you are, what you do, so people know who you are.
So my name is Carolina Klanowski. I am affiliated with Coldwell Banker Realty in LaGrange office, but I go to different offices such as Oakland, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. I do live in Homer Glen, and I'm also licensed in both states, Illinois and Indiana. So believe me or not, but I've moved a lot of people from Illinois to Indiana, or vice versa, which helps me a lot with establishing my business. I've been in real estate 6 years, and
Okay.
since the first year, I've been top producer, and that came from hard work, trust that my clients put into me, a lot of research, a lot of work behind the scenes that I do for my clients. I do believe in a huge transparency and also education. I believe that just because clients hire us as a real estate agent doesn't mean we just have to open the door and grab the check at the closing. I want my clients to understand the entire process from the beginning we meet until we close. So if anybody asks them after they close, how did the process go? I want them to understand the terminology of real estate. And that's what I think makes me successful. And people do want to work with me because they know their interest is always my priority.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. That is the new age of, I don't want to say sales or marketing or development or business development, is education, right?
100%.
How do you educate your consumers so that way because if you don't teach them, not only will someone else will, but you'll end up with them learning everything from ChatGPT, right?
100%.
Yeah, and then you're like, no, 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 that's not 100%, right? So,
And you know,
uh,
what? There is a lot of studies, and people talks about how real estate agents no longer gonna be in place because of AI, ChatGPT. And even though they do have access to AI and ChatGPT, and they read the terminology that they really don't understand, they still need us to fully confirm that, hey, this is okay. This is what kind of terminology. This is what kind of steps we do have to do. It's like being a doctor, right?
right.
Even if you ask, the doctor will tell you the disease that you have it, you will put into ChatGPT and it will explain you, and it's still, just because you're not professional, you still don't understand, and you still want the full confirmation from the doctor. What kind of disease is it? So I agree. Education is number one. It takes. I'm only in this business 6 years, and not 20 years like some other real
Right.
estate agents. Which I always say, it doesn't really matter how many years you're in real estate. It's about how many transactions you've done, and I've done so far 222. Um, uh, Individual. So definitely every transaction shapes you. Every transactions, it made me just a better at what I am doing. And after every transactions, I ask myself, how can I do better? What can
So,
I do better? Yes.
Tell us the worst. Tell us the most difficult transaction that you like just sticks in your mind. You're like, I never want to do that again.
Um, you know, um, I don't call every transaction that it's difficult. I call difficult transaction as something that challenges me,
Hmm.
and if I'm able to handle it, it just makes me a more better at what I am doing, more knowledgeable.
Right.
I always think you definitely want to be careful with lots when it comes to lots, building a home. Um,
Okay.
I've learned hard way. You got to be careful what kind of professional when it comes to soil test you are hiring,
Oh, tell
because
me more
you.
about what happened.
So actually, you know what? Recently, I had a transaction where um, uh, there was a house on a lot. So you would have think there is already house. So why would you perform a soil test, right? But I
Right.
always tell my clients, yes, you do have to do the soil test, okay, no matter what. So we
Right.
hired somebody to do the soil test,
Yep.
and that person, I guess, did about 4 borings. Boring, it means they have to test the soil, okay. Turn out the soil
Like they
test.
drill a hole into the ground to check to see how deep, right? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. Uh, and turned out the soil test is bad, especially in front. This guy told us there probably used to be a creek or something in front of the house, and it's just gonna take more money to build a house, because if somebody would just build a house down the line, the future owners could have a problem with either having a lot of water in the basement, or not gonna wood, the house could just collapse. Okay, and when it comes to building a house, working with builder, you got to look at the budget, right? Everything is expensive. um, uh, and
More now than it
obviously,
was before.
yes. So before I find a lot, I want to definitely do my research on houses, how much houses are selling for, what kind of budget my client has, it, how much price per square foot. This is something very important to look into it, because if your client is trusting you as a real estate agent,
Right.
uh, that client is investing tons of money into project. And if there's something that you've done uh, incorrectly, or you advise your
Right.
clients incorrectly, that client loses tons of money under investment. And the worst person who's gonna be is the real estate agent, no
No,
attorney.
no,
Uh-huh.
it's all your fault.
it's all
Absolutely.
it's all on me. It's all on me.
So
So
what was the solution for the soil test? So what was it about the soil that made it, was it just too soft?
yes, and it was like already, because they gotta go deeper, and I guess at 8 feet or 9 feet, the soil still was like very soft. It wasn't clay, so it
Uh,
would be hard to build a house. But here's the thing. So we asked the soil guy, what would be the cost. He said additional cost, because they would have to remove the soil, I guess put different type of soil. It would cost them about $50,000. Okay, so we were trying to negotiate it, but unfortunately, the seller didn't want to agree, so the deal canceled. Hear me out.
okay.
They said they're gonna hire their own company to do the soil test. Okay,
Okay.
so they did. Turned out the soil test is perfect. So who do you trust?
Wow.
Uh,
Wow.
it's
Inter-
like,
so
and
you compare the reports? Did the reports, were they
we
totally
did
different?
we compared the reports. We did compare the reports, and there's a huge difference. So we are in a process. Actually, we are hiring another company.
Perfect.
So keep it in mind. Every soil test costs about $2,000. And if
Wow.
Yeah, yes. So we're gonna try to compare who is right. So you got to be really careful. Who do you work with? Even
Of
though
course.
somebody has a license, doesn't mean somebody is as professional at what that person is doing. It's very important. Let's see, let's see the first guy was right and the soil test is bad, and we would
Right.
have hired a different company, right? Um, and a different company would have say the soil test is great, right? And then my client's starting the project. They're digging deeper. They see a lot of water. They see that they have a problem, and now it's a problem that you gotta do it. Nobody's gonna give you money for it. This is the money that you have to invest from your pocket. And who is the first person that builder is gonna call?
You.
Of course, even though I'm not professional at doing
Soil test.
doing soils, but I
Let me
have to
ask
be
you,
the first one hearing this. Okay.
yeah, did you check the what do you call it? The
Awesome.
methodology the each of them used? So like maybe one didn't dig deep enough, maybe like what was the methodology that the
Same,
two
same, same, same measurement. Same measurement. It's crazy. I don't understand why. So either I have a feeling the report that came up great. It's actually Fake, I say. It came from the seller side, but we will find out. I can let you know definitely in the next couple weeks.
Sometimes, like, was one of the things like I'll do, and I don't know if you've thought about this, but did you send the reports and switch through, like send one report to the other guy and the other guy to the other guy and have them look at the reports and explain?
We send it to the different guy, the third.
Yeah, in the seller's report to the buyer's soil tester, and then the buyer's report to the seller's soil tester, and have them explain it.
This is a great idea, 100%. But the best way to proceed is to just use the third one and see who's right. When it comes to also building a home on a lot, even if it's not a vacant, I think you got to do boring at a lot of places, because the soil test in the back was really good, but up front was not really good. So again, it's you got to be careful. So I'm working with builders. It's definitely a challenge, okay? Because we're talking about tons of money, and number one, it's a good business for me. Once the house is gonna be out there, I could sell it, and it's obviously a higher price and but there's a lot of due diligence that you got to do. And before even we started anything, I always double check myself. I know a lot of real estate agents don't do this. I do this because I'm a big believer of doing as much research as possible. And number one. Number two, just to make sure, if there is already a problems before we even gonna proceed with the contract, why would we proceed with the contract, pay money for the soil test, pay money for the survey and everything, and then everything would fall through? So I like to do a lot of due diligence before. So what I do, I check with the village, I reach out to village. If they pick up, luckily, if I get lucky, they pick up the phone. But if they don't, I do need to drive to the village. But what I've started doing it, like every village I go to, I ask them like which email I can get that I can communicate through email. So if they give me email, I'm already good to go. So I always send them email. I send them the lot, and I ask them if there's any flood zone, what kind of setbacks are once we're gonna be building a house. Let's see if the lot is on well and septic. Are there any utilities that we could connect with so we don't have to have a well and septic? So this type of due diligence, I do it prior.
And then if you get setbacks that are too much or too far, then you can't build, and it throws off your whole building. If you're well on septic, you got to build a whole. If you have no water lines, if you got no sewer, it's a well is totally different, right? Absolutely, each one 100%. Has its own. So how did you get into the construction side of the business?
My father, he's a roofer. My brother-in-law, he's also in construction. My other brother-in-law, he's also in construction. So my first deal that I had, it was with my.
In their construction.
Yes, all of them are in construction.
What a surprise!
No surprise, right?
No. I'm going to say, like, usually you've got some great construction lineage in the Polish community, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's how it works. If you were looking at like Hispanic people, we want Hispanic people to do landscaping because we know where they're gonna do the best landscaping, right? So I guess that's how it works. But my first new construction that I've had, it was with my brother-in-law. He built a house in Western Spring, beautiful house. It was over $2 million house. And that was a nice experience. But again, it just every transaction shapes you, and every transaction makes you a better person. So yeah, I would say this is something that you got to be careful. Working with investments, because not only on new construction, but if also overall investments property, if somebody wants to do rehabs, okay, a lot of times, and I'm sure you're gonna agree with me, a lot of times sellers
I'm very combative.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of times they would the seller would call me, and they have a house that it's fully remodeled, they bought a rehab, and they ask me to sell their house. And let's go back. Why are you asking me to sell the house? Like, where's the agent who you bought a house
with? Right.
So
what do you usually find happen?
So the problem is, uh, if people don't work with professionals, somebody who has experience, I
Right.
say it a million times. I do feel like there is a lot of agents who only closes like maybe a couple deals a year. They only pay attention to money, collecting money.
Right.
And when you think about money, how much money you're gonna get at the closing, not about other things, how to protect your client's biggest assets in their life,
Yep.
that
Yep.
doesn't makes you experience. Because
No.
more likely I am going to this rehab and I'm thinking to myself, what am I gonna do right now to bring my client's money back? Because
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
already overpaid.
Yeah. Totally.
You understand?
Yeah,
So
because if they're getting into the deal and because you know what they say, you don't make money on the sale, you make money on your buy. You make
100%.
money when you buy the property. So if you're the attorney agent, if you're the agent on the buy side and you screw up that deal or you don't, your comps are off. Like I've got a client who decided to buy, rehab, and list a property, beautiful property, and it turns out it's in the middle of a murder neighborhood. Like
Interesting.
he can't get it rented, right? So it's like clearly the agent wasn't paying attention to what's happening in the surrounding neighborhood, right? And so that's what you
100%.
want, and you do all that.
100%.
That's fantastic. Okay,
Oh, big time.
and it's not
So what
number of years, like experience years. I don't doesn't mean anything to me.
it
It's
means like
what's your knowledge? What's
100%.
the knowledge? What's the knowledge?
I
Yeah, absolutely,
I
absolutely.
agree 100%. So like I said, like when I work with investors, if I look at the house, sometimes I go to this house by myself first to just take a preview. But I pay attention to comps, and I'm not comparing 3,000 square feet house to 2,000 square feet house. I'm
Mhm.
trying to find
Right,
very similar houses, and then we go to take a look at the house, and I tell my client who's the investor, I said, listen, this is the most as of right now you can get out of this house once you're gonna remodel. If you're gonna get more, beautiful, more money to your pocket, but you got to focus on this number. Okay, so I asked that investor, how much do you think you got to invest into this project? So if the
right.
investor whatever tells me 60,000, 100,000, okay, this is a good deal. It could be beneficial for you. Okay, but unfortunately a lot of times I have to, my clients would send me a house because maybe it's listed at 30,000, 40,000 lower, and they think it's a great deal for rehab. And then I do my due diligence and I said, unfortunately, the most you can get out of this house is maybe 100K more. What about the money that you have to invest? So a lot of times I have to tell my investors, this is not going to work. And this is more than it used to be. Maybe in
Yeah,
the future, we're going to have more investments. But right now, unless you want to buy in a neighborhood that it's really unsafe, go for it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of it.
right.
Sometimes I say it's better to invest. There's a lot of properties here in Palos Hills, Orland Park, surrounding areas. You do got to pay more money, maybe 300, 350, 370. But these houses, maybe they need less work. Maybe they need only about 60, 70,000, 30,000, 40,000. Depends, how much materials you also have at home. Uh,
Sure.
and then you could sell it for, I say, 550, 600, right? So sometimes it's better to invest more money because the return it's
Upfront.
probably gonna be obviously more beneficial for you. So definitely uh, builders and investors are probably difficult to work with. You got to input so much work into it, a lot of due diligence that people don't see it behind the scenes. So I would say, yeah, those are difficult. Renters are difficult too.
Yes, they are.
Uh,
They
and
are.
we don't get paid well on those renters.
No, you
But they're
don't.
difficult, yeah.
Yeah.
And first-time home buyers, I love first-time home buyers. Again, as I mentioned in the beginning of our conversation, I'm huge on educating, and
Right.
that's what kind of put me into real estate, where I close my I bought a condominium back when I wasn't real estate agent, and me and my husband bought a house. And if somebody would ask me how did the process go, I would say, I don't know. I was just signing documents. That's it. But
Right. That's how it works.
like I want to
I was
understand the
paying
process. I want
attention.
my clients to understand it and like be transparent. Like you guys, attorneys. Uh, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of people, a lot of real estate agents says, "Oh, have attorney handle it. Have attorney handle it."
Oh,
First of all, you
right.
really don't have time to do this. Your
No.
job is to check the legal stuff and stuff like that. But don't throw everything on attorneys. I don't think it's fair.
Oh,
I
I
think
like that.
there's a lot of things that we could do it on our end and just save your time. Um, unless you're gonna start getting paid better.
Well,
That's
it's
my
interesting.
opinion.
That's funny because you say that, and so your style of education is really I'm heavy on the education piece. So
Yeah.
we went ahead and actually, I mean, I have agents who don't do anything, and I have agents who do more, right?
Yes.
But I'm very much about educating the client. So like my title company sometimes gets frustrated with me because my closing might go longer because I'm explaining every single page. I'm trying to get them to understand and what to expect. Like I'll see a lot of issues where people are confused by the taxes. They're like,
Yes.
I got a tax proration at closing. Why am I paying a tax bill a year later? And it's like if you don't fully explain that, I
Mhm,
find you end up with a problem later. So if you are
mhm.
open, transparent, discuss, explain at the front end and communicate, it solves a lot of problems in the back end.
Mhm.
So what areas do you focus on all over Chicago? I mean, obviously you said Indiana and Illinois. Are there particular sections or segments of the market you're more specialized in?
Southwest suburbs, I say. As I mentioned, I'm a resident of Homer Glen, so uh, Homer Glen, Orland Park, Lamont, Lockport, and surrounding areas. But also, my main office is in LaGrange, so I do know very well LaGrange, Hinsdale, Western Spring, Downers Grove. I've been actually very active in Downers Grove recently. That's
Down the
where
street.
we're talking. Yeah.
I live in Westmont.
Oh, you
So down
do? Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
have been Westmont, Downers Grove. This is where my builders are. So that's where I
Ah,
am focusing on out there.
got
It's crazy how everything changes. I do go to a lot of podcasts, trainings. I listen a lot, and I remember how back in the day, Hinsdale was like the top suburbs where everybody wanted to live. But how big of the Hinsdale is, right? Like there wasn't enough space for people
right.
to move out there. So people started exploring Downers Grove, Westmont, Clarendon Hills, Western Spring, and it's same thing, same school districts. And I feel like these areas are really becoming as Hinsdales almost.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of new constructions coming out there. I see more and more builders moving out there, and I think we're talking about houses 1.5 plus.
Wow.
But the area is nice, school districts are nice, very convenient to Metro. And do people do love to, especially I would say people who are moving from out of state, California, New York,
Oh,
they do move out there. Yes.
got it. Very cool. And so now you're handling builders, you handle new agents. You've done over 200 transactions, right? You've
Mhm.
been in this 6 years, but you've actually done a lot in 6 years.
Yes.
Um, what has been has there been any part of your transaction that has just completely like the strangest thing in the what's like the strangest transaction you've done? Have you had really strange transactions or things that you've gone through? And I find those weird transactions are difficult, like you said earlier, the best learning experiences.
Sometimes it's not only the transactions, it's the people. Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I would say. When it comes to transactions, as we talked in the beginning, when you are fully transparent, whether you sell or buy, and
Yep.
explain every detail to client, then it just the transaction is just smoother. Okay, obviously, they don't understand everything you explain them in the beginning because it's a new terminology and everything. But once you refresh the memory, they're like, oh, wait a second, I remember you talked about it. And again, I do have a brochure, very professional brochure that everything is detailed. Okay, so I give it to the. I'm sorry about my puppy. He is. I have it right here. I'm just give me a few seconds.
No
So it's like whether they buying with me or selling with me, they've been receiving those type of brochures. It's a big trifold
Oh, that's
and
fantastic.
explain all the details, everything from the moment we meet until we close. Then
Wow, I love that. I
yes,
love that.
this is something that I've created over the time because I'm like, again, as I mentioned, I'm always asking myself question, what can I do better? Okay. How can I make it easier? So when you ask about difficult transactions, I feel like if you explain everything, being transparent, it's that the transaction is not difficult as long as the customers is not difficult. I don't know if you understand me. Um,
Absolutely. Yes. Because a
so
lot of
this
times
is,
the difficulty
yeah,
comes from the customer not understanding
yes,
or their own fears.
fear.
So
I
they're
say
scared.
fear. Fear is
Yeah,
like
they're scared, and so they start reacting and responding. And if you explain it ahead of time, you prevent that from happening. I completely
100%.
agree.
100%. So, like, I'm big on consultation, buyer consultation. It's always complimentary. Okay. I just walk them through everything. Then, what is it called? Then, once we go under contract, I'm big on having either Zoom call with me, lender, and them, walk them through closing disclosures. Okay. I want them to understand in the beginning of contract what is going to be more likely their interest rates, how much
Right.
PTI is going to be, how much money they have to bring to closing, that they
Got it.
cannot buy anything during the transactions, none of the other loans. And what else? And the taxes. I always explain them the taxes. Okay, this is how much you're gonna get credit from the seller because we pay taxes prorated. This is how much you're gonna have to pay. That depends if you have escrow or not, right?
Right.
So it makes them just feel comfortable because when it comes to closing a day before, what is happening a lot of times? It's like a war. Okay.
Yes.
Oh
The
my God,
world.
Carolina. Oh my God, Carolina.
Right. Right. Right.
It's like a war. Carolina, why do I
Yes.
have to bring that much money? Why my interest rates are high? I don't understand this. What or the seller? Why do I have to pay the credit? Why do I have to pay commission plus the credit? And
Right.
that's where the problem is. So if you don't educate them in the beginning, yes, you're gonna have a problem at the end. Okay. When it comes to sellers, you gotta explain them all the numbers because it's not only commission; it's also about title fees. It's also about credit. Maybe there is assessment that there has to be a special assessment. You do got to explain them. Always, I bring the net sheet. You whether you like it or you don't like it, this is how much you're gonna have to pay. Okay, I want you
Yes.
to understand the number because if you're gonna get net more, that's amazing. And guess what? A lot of times buyers or
Yes.
sellers they do net more because I brought these numbers in the beginning and maybe the interest rates dropped or maybe the seller received a better offer under purchase. So
Did you do your own net sheet, or how do you do your net sheets?
I ask attorneys or I ask the title company. I always want to double check, okay, because there could be a difference if I do it myself. So I definitely either if I know the attorney who's doing it, I want the attorney to do it. I tell the numbers and everything, or the title company. So this is something that I ask for, and it's working. Um, so as I mentioned, if you handle everything step by step, explain everything, transaction is not difficult. What difficult is the customer sometimes, the fearness. Okay, I've had a client who was calling me every other hour. Carolina, I cannot buy this. I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I cannot sleep. So I'm not only at this point, I'm not only a real estate professional, but I'm a therapist. Okay,
Yes. Trust me.
and
What are they counselors?
counselor, yes. So that's what makes difficult. That's sometimes what makes difficult. If you don't educate everything, yes, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be painful because there's probably mistakes that you've done and you overlooked.
Right.
Uh, but sometimes it's just customers, the fear, and I totally get it. I understand, but it takes a lot of talking, a lot of explanations that people don't see actually.
Wow, that is so true. That's so true because we had, like, I remember. So we do this thing called bifurcations. I don't know if you've heard about this or whatever, but we bottom line, we end up writing a check to our client at the end for $1,000, right?
Okay.
On the So if you're a buyer, you're buying a house. What we do is we take the title from the seller side for the buyer,
Okay.
and then because of that, we make more money as the buyer's attorney. But then I write a check for $1,000 to the buyer, and I give him $1,000 at closing.
Okay.
Okay, so you'd think that'd be enough, but it was amazing how many times the deal, when they first started it, like 4 or 5 years ago, how many times the deals would go sideways, and the buyer would have a problem, and then it would be confusing, and then the lender wouldn't understand. And then I realized that I needed to explain it to the client right out of the gate, and I had
Yes.
to educate the broker also right out of the gate, so that way the broker and the buyer were on the same page as the attorney. And so when I
100%.
did that before the transaction, and I did it the first day we get a contract, immediately I explained everything, and then not only did I explain it, like educate you're saying, I gave them the choice, so they
That's a
get to
good.
choose if you want it or not, right? Like what you're doing, you give them the net sheet. This is the net sheet. There's no changing. Like either this is what you're going to make or you're not, right? If you can choose to go forward with a transaction, here's what the net sheet is, or choose you
Mhm.
don't go forward, the net sheet doesn't change. So I
Absolutely.
love how you're doing that. That is absolutely fantastic. That is great. So
Thank you.
who are some of the are there particular professionals that you like working with the most, like inspections and lenders, or is it all varied based on the property?
No, I have people that I've already I would say built relationship that I do trust. I'm always open for new relationships because uh, uh, it just m- more people I know, more professional I know. It's just better exposure, I would say. Um, so yeah, definitely, I have some that
Is there a
that I work
particular
with.
lender you'd like to like in terms of lending? Because obviously your investors have a different type of lender,
Yes.
and then your construction people have a different type of lender because they're doing new
Mhm.
construction. Is most of your And then you have the first time home buyers. Do you do multifamilies or is it all single family stuff?
I do multifamily too. Mhm.
So do you have are there particular lenders that you like to work with that you recommend or would want to throw out there today or no? You don't
For
have
multifamily, um, uh, it's a good question because I didn't do because again, you could do multifamily and do residential loan um, uh, up to 4 units, right? So
right.
you could recommend any lender that you work with, but when we're talking bigger units like four and up, we have to hire somebody who's specialized in commercials. So
Right.
recently, I have done a couple commercials, and I used Daniel.
Okay.
Zajączkowski. He is from big Bank of America from Picula, Richard Picula. So he
Oh,
does
okay.
handle. You know him. He does
Nope.
handle. You probably know. You don't know him. Bank of America, Richard Picula. So he is the one who handles commercials. Yes.
Okay. So that was a good one for you.
Yes.
How about residential, regular first time home buyers? Which are there particular banks you go to for that?
So here's the thing. I do recommend. Majority of times, we do want to recommend couple lenders to our clients,
Of course.
so they feel comfortable. And I found the fact, and this is why it's always good to have more relationship with more professional because I found where if I would have recommend only one, they would still do their own research. They would still find somebody else, and they would more
Right.
likely sometimes ended up going with somebody else, somebody that I don't know, somebody who
Yeah,
is promising him something that it's unrealistic, and they just
correct.
believe in this. And then when during the transactions, I feel like you do have to have a relationship, whether it's an attorney, lender, because the transaction is just smoother. Okay, everybody communicates, we know each other.
Yep.
It's just easier for clients. And if we work
Right.
somebody who we don't know, they just don't communicate. They make it more difficult. They don't pick
You
up
don't
the
know their
phone.
team. You don't know
Yeah,
how it works, right? Yeah. Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
So I recommend more. So the people
Yes.
that I work with, so there are three. Paulina Krzesica from Fairway.
Paulina's
She is,
fantastic. I've dealt with
you
her.
know
She's
Paulina. Yes, she is. I like the fact about Fairway. Number one, they do they run a lot of programs for first-time home buyers. I had a client who bought a condominium with me. She had a loan on her for her school about $50,000. Okay, and she
okay.
was able to get her program where if she ended up buying, they forgive her the school loan as long
Wow.
as she lives in this place for 3 years. Can you
Oh
believe
my
it?
God.
Yes.
That's a fantastic program.
Yeah, so Fairway does offers a lot of grants or down payment assistance
Okay.
for first time home buyers, which I love it. And Paulina is fantastic. She always, stay on top of everything.
Yes.
Another person that I do want to recommend is Bobby Wozniak. She's from Compass.
Okay.
So I
Compass.
do like working with her too. She also helps a lot of clients. She gives great interest rates. She shops with multiple banks, and communication is on top of everything always.
I love
And she's also sharp. So sometimes I feel like when my clients are having second thoughts, she's the one
Yep.
who could like step in her game and be like, let me take care of this. Okay, let me
Yes.
explain this. Let me explain this client that
Yes.
she cannot get back up right now because
Right.
it's green is not always greener. She get a
Right.
great deal and she better move forward unless
Yep.
she's willing to pay more. And
That's like the
also,
biggest thing I tell everybody is, and this is frustrating I have when I deal with other professionals, is they don't know how to manage the client,
yes,
right?
100%.
And
Yes,
management doesn't mean like control them. It means how do you educate them? How do you
yes,
inform them? How do you guide them? How do you advise them? Right. And sometimes how do you strangle them and pull them down? So you got to do it this way, right?
yes,
Depends. But yeah. So yeah,
100%.
right, absolutely.
So
So she's
so
really
so I
good at
def she's been sharp on that. Yes, 100%. She a lot of times if my clients have second thought, she's like, "Do you want me to call them?"
that.
Especially she knows they're getting a great deal.
Yes.
And the third person is Lisa Vasquez. She's actually affiliated with Call Banker Realty.
Okay.
She's with Guarantee Rates, but Guarantee Rates is affiliated with Call Banker Realty, the
Yep.
company that I work for.
Yeah.
And they have I love the fact about them that it's super easy to communicate. Like they share the app. You just pull
Yep.
up input your information. They check your credit score based on the soft credit, so it's not affecting your credit score. And she's
Yeah.
always on top of communication. Like she's always like, I don't have to call her and ask her for updates. She's like on top of her game. Even if it's 2
I
a.m.,
love
if she knows the update, she's like, Caroline, by the way, this is what you got to do. This is what they're working on. So those are the three people that I do recommend when it comes to residential. As I mentioned, commercial, I would recommend Daniel Zajączkowski from oh my God, Richard Picoa. Hold on a second.
Bank of
I
America.
don't want to mess this up. Mid of
Michelle Pico.
America. Mid of
Okay,
America.
yes.
Mid of America.
Oh, Mid of
So
America,
Mid of
not Bank of
America.
America. Mid
And
America. Okay.
again, the number two, also, I have to say there's two banks that I do work with. If somebody prefers to work with bank,
Right.
which is either Polish Slavic or PNC. Those are the two banks that I
Oh,
do recommend to work with. I
okay.
have actually lenders who are affiliated with their banks, and I do recommend them as well.
That's
A
fantastic.
lot of people they feel more comfortable working straight with bank.
So I'm
So
gonna give you some
uh,
homework. I'm gonna give you some homework. Give me those names. Please email them to me and to Vera, so that way we can make sure we put and link them onto this thing. So that way you can be like, see, look, Carolina recommended you. So that way, because people are going to want to know where to get lending from and get like advice. So that's
yeah,
your
yeah.
homework for this. Okay.
100%. And I'm really easy like on that. So I always save contacts, always save contacts. A lot of
Mhm.
people calls me, my family member calls me about contacts and address. I'm like, this is like the thing with me that I established long time ago. Even if we're doing any type of inspection, maybe there is a structural problem, maybe there is a plumbing problem, and my clients found themselves a professional, I always like to save contacts. So fun fact, one of my neighbor asked me the other day, she said, Caroline, can you recommend me a plumber? Okay. So I go to my contact list and I'm like, I'm like putting plumber and I'm like 15 contacts. Okay. And I'm like, who do I recommend? I don't remember
I don't know who to
exactly.
recommend. Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
sometimes like if they like offer, hold on a second. Last time, one of the agent called me and she asked me, do you know somebody who uh, 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 deal with foundation problems like the cracks?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm like, Oksana, let me check. Okay. And I'm like, I'm looking, and I said, and it says in my contact, crack, CEO guy, good price. So it means this guy has a
Have
good
to.
prices
It's a good price, and you know
sealing the
the cracks.
cracks.
Yep,
Yeah.
I love it. I do the same thing. So,
Yeah.
do you use any software to help you with this, or are you just like using like what soft? Are you using any software? Do you have a team? Like, tell me what your structure.
Uh, Again, so what I notice, more professional I am, more I am demanding from me to be even a better person, okay? Better at
Mhm.
what I'm doing, finding something that makes my life easier. Yes, I am working on a team. Actually, it's gonna be coming soon, very soon. I already established logo. I'm working on marketing aspects. I'm going
Okay.
to have a couple agents who are going to be under me.
Okay.
And I do have a VA. I think you do have it too, who is who I it took me a long time to find somebody that I really somebody that I would feel comfortable with.
Right.
And I've researched so much. I interview so many VAs, and the one that I found, she's wonderful. She does helps
Nice.
me a lot because like even from our conversation today, if you really want to be professional at what you're doing, you cannot do everything. I mean,
Can't.
that's. I mean, if you really think you're handle of doing everything, especially being mom, being wife, there's no way. You're just gonna burn out. You're not gonna give 100% to your clients. It's just
No.
every client you're just gonna give 5 percentages,
Right.
and they're gonna start noticing this,
Correct.
and they're gonna
Yes.
start going somewhere else. So
You can't scale.
yeah, so
Yeah.
she does
Cool.
handle
You
my
can't.
a little yeah, she handles a
Yeah.
little bit social media, she handles my feedbacks, she does works on reverse prospecting. So when it comes to selling a house, I don't miss any prospect, okay, because she check on daily basis, so I don't have to do like. I told my managing broker, okay, it's funny fact, they were kind of against this VA, and when I finally hired them, I said no, I feel like I do have to have them. I told him it just, oh my God, like saves so much of my time. And it just makes me more professional because I could be at the appointment. I could talk with you right now. We could have this podcast. And I
Yes.
know she's handling my feedback. She's trying to receive feedbacks on my listing that somebody was showing yesterday, or she's checking the reverse prospecting. If there's anybody who's interested in this property, she does send out professional email, or maybe she organized my email so I make sure
Mhm.
I don't miss anything. She let me know if there's anybody who's inquiring about rental properties. It's just
Right.
so much time. But I am going to hire agent who is actually she was a daughter. She's a daughter of my client, and they
Hmm.
moved from England.
Okay.
British, beautiful accent, English, fluent English. She grew up there. She used to be a
Yep.
real estate agent out there.
Oh. Okay.
Um, so I told my client, they said she's come there because they got a green card, they fully live here, they're gonna establish here. I said she needs to do the real estate. I said, she's
Absolutely.
already been doing real estate in Europe. She speaks fluent English. Obviously, she has heavier maybe accent than mine, but
Right.
beautiful British accent. She did
Yeah.
it. and she still needs to learn about area and everything because United
Right.
States is new for her. But I said, listen, you're gonna work for me, and I'm gonna teach you how to become a transaction coordinator. So
Oh,
she
fantastic.
is going to be my transaction coordinator. So if I'm gonna take this out of my
Oh
plate,
my God, it's a game changer for you. That's gonna
um,
change the game
I,
for you.
I'm just gonna be
Totally.
100% for my clients. It's just my clients, and
Absolutely.
that's it. You can call me, and I have time to you. You have a bad day, you can call me. I will listen
Yes.
to you, and I will advise you. So yes, I've been planning this for a long time, but I went to my daughter. She does leadership for St. Jude Hospital. She's a
Oh,
sophomore
okay.
in high school, and I want her to do those type of leadership because
Of
it's
course.
just going to be good on her resume.
Yeah.
So we went to this leadership on Sunday to Chicago, and there were about four podcasts. Four people who panelists who were just speaking, and these speakers were very motivational, very inspirational for these teenagers,
Right.
and this guy said he's very confident at what he's doing. He's the director of St. Jude, and he said what makes him confident is not being afraid to fail. You know,
Right.
what makes him
Yep.
confident, being not afraid to fail. And I thought to myself, and I'm like, what am I waiting for? I mean, Carolina, you have the plan, just move on. Because I've been, pausing this team things. Like, I mean, I'm going back and forth. One day I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. The next day I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready. I mean, I'm ready, but if I'm gonna have enough clients to help my real estate agents, this
Oh,
and that.
no, no, no. So yeah, no, you throw it all. First of all, don't be afraid to. It's hard. Failure is
Yeah.
huge, right? It's
Uh-huh.
very much a. But let me tell you that when you actually invest in building a team around you, you start elevating without even knowing it. Like it's
Yeah.
gonna game change. They're gonna create their own revenue. They may not create their own revenue, but they're gonna help you expand so that way you can create your own revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Like I
A
couldn't do
hundred.
this if I didn't have Vera. Like the reason I connected with you is because I hired Vera, trained
Exactly.
her, right, to reach out to the brokers to set this up so that way you and I can meet and communicate. I
Okay.
can't do it. You're right. Absolutely. Don't be afraid. Like Carolina, I've talked to, I know a lot of brokers, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not just going to smoke up your ass, right? I'm just going to tell you straight. I've dealt with a lot of brokers, and not all brokers are the same. Just like not all attorneys are the same, not all lenders are the same.
Yes.
Um, but your passion that I can I can feel it. The passion that you have with your clients and what you want to educate and how you're pushing and how you're driving. Um, you definitely have a leg up on most other agents, easily within the top 5%. Like I don't know what your revenue stream is or how much you're doing. Or I mean, you said you did 200 deals, but just your mindset, you're in the top 5% without question, right?
Yeah.
So now imagine if you get people like you working for you.
No, 100%, 100%. And since I started working, like as I mentioned, I closed first year being in real estate, I closed 10 millions in volume. Okay, first year,
Wow, that's a
in
great.
individual. So as of right now, for the past 4 years in my company, I'm number one. I'm a President's Club individual, top percentage one nationwide. Okay, so that didn't came from luck. That came from
Nope.
hard work, weekends, working weekends. But it makes me proud of what I'm doing. But like a lot of people who knows me, they said you found your niche, like you said, like they said, and I did. I love real estate. I love helping people. As you mentioned, if there was a difficult transactions, if I wouldn't be really uh, obsessed with what I'm doing, I would tell you, oh, multiple horrible transactions. Let me talk about this transaction. Let me talk about this transaction.
Right, right,
Let
right.
I mean, it is gonna be difficult.
It
Hey,
is.
it's
It
not
is.
easy. You gotta
Nope.
step in your game. You gotta do your research. You gotta make sure you looked at the contracts, not overlooked anything. Do your research. Sometimes take extra mile to drive to village, find out more things. If there's any
Yep.
violation, there is going to be things. If there is a lot of
Have the department.
misunderstand, yeah, a lot of misunderstanding in real estate because people sees us on social media looking nice, presenting those houses, because we got to look nice in order to showcase the house. I mean, if I look bad in front of the uh, in front of the house, how am I presenting the house? Like
Right.
today I'm going to shoot a video in Indiana. And I was
Oh,
thinking about this. I'm actually gonna leave shortly. I was thinking about this video because it's literally 10 minutes away uh, from Illinois.
okay.
I was driving the other day and I'm like seeing, oh, there's a sign on the right side, and this sign it says Indiana, welcome to Indiana. There is a sign on the left side and it says welcome to Illinois. So hold on a second. This house is 10 minutes away from the border. The same square footage is about 2,700, and the taxes are $4,000. Sometimes people do pay attention to payment. And I'm
Absolutely.
like, what can I do to do a nice video to just expose this house? People share it. So first of all, I'm like, okay, I could look through the roof of my car, through the sunroof, stop there and look left and right, and I'm like, wow. I'm in between Illinois and Indiana, but this house you could get for same price but 3 times cheaper taxes, right? But I'm
Right.
thinking to myself, I don't have a car with the sunroof, so I'm calling
Okay.
my dad. He has a car, nice car, that's like his lovely car with like
Yes.
open roof, and I'm like, I'm gonna borrow your car. So I'm borrowing his car because it's gonna look nice. It's gonna bring attention, okay?
Is it a
And
convertible?
yes, okay.
What kind?
So I'll send you the video. So I called my videographer and I said, listen, this is exactly what I want to do. And he was listening to me and he's like, wow, this is a great idea. So, and what I'm saying, people who don't know me, they're gonna be thinking, oh wow, she's selling real estate and she's having this car. Wow, I
Right.
want to do real estate too because I want to make as much
Right.
money too.
Right.
First of all, it's not my car. Second of all, I'm using it to make it look nice. Because if I would
Right.
have used car that it's not luxury looking, the video
Right.
wouldn't. How would I present the house? You know what I mean?
Correct.
It's about exposures from social media, so people share it in between, so it gets to somebody and somebody's like, hold on a second, I want to move to Indiana, maybe I work in Chicago Heights. I had
Right.
client who was
Right.
a firefighter in Chicago Heights, and we were looking at houses in Tilney Park, same type of houses, $8,000 taxes, and then his name was Ark. I said, Ark, I'm like, your Indiana is 15 minutes from Chicago Heights. I'm like,
Right.
why don't we look at Dyer in Indiana? We ended up
Yes.
looking at this house, same price. The prices are almost the same. And I'm like, you got $3,000 taxes. Guess what? For the rest money, take your fiance for
Yeah.
vacation
Yes. Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
because it
And then
makes sense for him.
it's not just 1 year, 5,000. It's 5,000 over 10 years or 15
Absolutely.
years. You're talking like
Absolutely.
$50,000 in savings because the taxes are going to go up on both sides. So they're saving $50,000 to $100,000 over the course of the house in taxes.
Yes.
And if you
Yes.
have that, it's amazing. Yeah,
I
the
mean,
return
yeah.
is huge.
Yeah.
Return is
So
huge.
like I said, people thinks that we only open the door and we make money, but the reality is the amount of money we have to invest into marketing, our time, um, 7 days a week, 365 days, never off, even on vacation. If you're ready to do it, yeah, that's it. There's so much flowers in this world, and there's so much business for
Absolutely.
everybody. Okay, but
Absolutely.
keep it in mind that if you have a mindset where you think you only want to sell one house a month and you're going to be making money, first of all, find this house. Okay, find this client for this one house in order to make
Right.
those money.
You have to make it a career.
You do have
It's
to make
not
their
just
career.
because then how many people do you talk to? Like you said, you did 200 deals in 6 years. In that
Yes.
6 years, how many clients do you think you spoke to?
Oh, more.
200?
Oh, I would say more. I closed on the
That's how many you
222
closed.
transactions.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how many you closed. Let's say there's
Yeah.
another 20 or 30 that you didn't close for whatever reason, or offers that got canceled, or clients who decided they couldn't buy or they didn't qualify. You must have spoken to at least 1,000 people.
Oh,
Easy.
absolutely. But again, I like it.
I know.
I don't
I
have a
know.
problem.
It's your
Yeah.
core business. Well, Carolina,
Yeah.
I know you have to get to Indiana so that we can do
Yes,
that beautiful video. I can't wait to see it. That's going to be awesome.
I'll
Thank you for
send it over
joining.
to you.
Yes, please do. Please do. I'm gonna just say goodbye to everybody. Mahmoud Faisal Khatib, Bowtie attorney for your real estate transactions or foreclosure defense work. Come see us. Carolina Klinovsky, who is a phenomenal real estate broker, clearly one of the best in the country, not just in the state of
Oh,
Illinois. So I would highly recommend you give her a call. We're gonna actually drop this podcast. It's live right now, right? So, but we're gonna clean it up and drop it in the next probably 2 months. And when we do that, we're gonna actually drop all of these recommendations that Carolina had in terms of real estate lenders for commercial multifamily. And her information will also be in there so that we can get a hold of her connector. Carolina, while we're here, how do people call you? How do they get a hold of you? How do you want them to reach you?
phone number 708-704-1225. It's easy to remember. You could text me, you could call me, you could send me an email, carolina.klonovsky@cbrealty.com. So my first name, then after first name dot, last name @cbrealty.com. I speak both languages, and I'm sure you can tell because I do have an accent. I speak fluent Polish and I speak English, so I can help multiple clients. I mean, I've learned over the course because obviously, a lot of times I've sold in Palos Hills area where there's a lot of Arabic people, and I
Yes.
actually, established a big relationship with them. So they taught me some
No,
words
don't
and
give me
everything.
bad words. Don't
Yeah.
give us any bad words.
No, 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 no. They don't teach me bad words, but I'm open to work with anybody. That does, you know, whether you're first time home buyer, you're looking to find out how much your home is worth, or maybe you're thinking about you have extra money in your pocket and thinking about how to invest. I'm open to offer a complimentary appointment where I can walk you through and kind of give you options would you have. I could move you from Indiana or to Illinois or vice versa.
Right?
So, I mean, whatever it takes, I will handle it. Okay. For doing 222 transactions, I mean, I'm pretty
That's a
sure
lot.
I've done a lot. And there's a lot of times that I didn't mention. I always do contingency on sale. So a lot of people they think they cannot buy it because they don't have enough money, but maybe you have enough equity in your house. And what we can do, we can buy and sell your house at the same time and use the money from your house towards
Yep.
whether the down payment or maybe paying off the
Yep.
house. So there's an option. It takes more work. You got to be very careful how you do this. But I've done a lot of those transactions as well, which I can help as well.
As have we, where we've actually had to do the buy and the sale on the same day. I once had a chain where it was like 4 of them in a row.
Mhm.
Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, all contingent on each other. We had to do 4 transactions in one day.
Oh
Because it was
wow! So
a title
that's
company. So it was
that's a
crazy.
lot. I've
It
had
was.
transactions where buyers were selling their house, they were buying my client house, my client was buying a house, and they were selling their house, and everybody
Oh
was
my God.
contingent on sale.
Wow. You need a really good team to handle that. You
Yes,
really
yes, yes. It was a lot, but what taught me that it's not like you are figuring out things the day before closing and be like, "Hey, do we have everything set up?" No, you gotta be on top of everything, like
Oh,
on
absolutely.
daily basis.
Absolutely. Well, Carolina, I would love to grab a cup of coffee with you and talk more and connect.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Um, so I'm actually so let's I'll have Vera reach out to you, set something up where we can do an in-person connect because I'm so fascinated and impressed by what you've done and what you do.
Thank
But
you.
I think you can do so much for our clients. And I have other obviously real estate agents I work with, but it's always good to know the best, right? And that top
100%.
1% is important. So, Carolina, thank you so much. I'll let you go and do your video. I want to see it. So please send it to me.
Definitely.
All
I'll,
right.
I'll, I'll definitely will. And I just want to thank you for inviting me for this podcast. It just, it, you know, I never say no to stuff like that. It's a new opportunity, and it just I'm just happy that we could share our knowledge to potential customers, so they could kind of learn
Absolutely.
already, pre-learn, I say.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I appreciate you inviting me for this podcast, and
Anytime.
coffee is on me.
Oh, love it. I love it. And so what you're going to get is we're going to take this video. So we did this an hour. So it's supposed to be 20 minutes, right? But it's so
Really?
much fun. So it's fantastic. So we're going to probably break this up into like maybe 2 or 3 podcast episodes. And
Okay,
then my team is also going to go through and they're going to create 1-minute snippets for you
that's
and 2-minute
amazing.
snippets that you can post on your social media of all the
Oh,
different things,
absolutely.
right? And we'll share the actual raw video so you can do whatever you want with it as well. And then this is probably going to come down probably in about 8 to 10 weeks is when the edited version of this, the first one will come down. So look out for it. We'll have everything for you in the next week or so.
Okay, not a problem. I'm excited to wait for everything. I'm excited to see how it turned out, and I'm excited to share with the audience so they could learn from true professionals, right?
Totally.
Thank you again. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll
Thanks.
definitely send you the video.
I love it. All right. Take care.
Take
Thank
care. Bye
you.
bye. Bye bye.